Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Sean. I've been playing the game of poker for about 10 years now. And what I want to do in this episode is try to share with you what I do, basically the 4 fundamental things that I am doing that lay the base work for my hourly earning rate. Yes, I built from there over time, but these fundamentals have never changed over the time that I've been playing. And so I want to share them with you. So whether you are just starting out and want to learn how to earn, or you want to increase your win rate at the poker table, we're going to cover both things today in this video. When you get these 4 points down, it's really going to improve your game. These 4 simple concepts will change everything. It is an informational advantage, a weapons advantage, a strategic advantage, and a timing advantage. Let's talk about them, starting with number 1. In the game of poker, informational advantage is everything. Imagine like 2 war generals that are both preparing to move through this certain area. One of them is aware that it's a big bog and a swamp and they're not going to be able to get their equipment through. The other is not. One general attempts to cross that battlefield, sinks all of his weapons in, gets his troops stuck, and now is in a horrible bind. Well, the other one is going around and able to continue to be mobile, though yes, it maybe takes him longer. He's not getting stuck in the swamp, and therefore his army's in a better position. Poker is obviously a very different scenario, but the point being, if you have more information, it can be a huge advantage. The way that you actually use this at the poker table is by being to the left of another player. Now in the game, everybody's going to have somebody on their left. So what I mean by that is relative to the dealer button is the final post-flop player to act. So the closer you are to the dealer button, the more people will have to act in front of you, and the more information you'll get. So if you have a player that you're playing a hand with and they check to you, that gives you a little bit of information as to how much they like the hand. If they bet before they do anything, that gives you information. And when you're acting second, you also get more control over the pot. So maybe you have a big hand, they put a little bit of money in, you always have the opportunity to put more money in. I'm going to use this graphic really quick. Basically, the final 3 positions, the button is the last to act. Then you have the cutoff, who's to their right, and the hijack. I try to play as many hands as I can from those locations versus trying to play hands out of position. Point number 2 is weapons. You've heard it said before that you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight, but that happens all the time at the poker table. Opponents often that are showing up to a poker table are there to gamble, they're there to have a good time, they're there for entertainment. So they're going to play a lot more hands than they should. They're going to get involved with 7-9 offsuit. They're just kind of splashing around. It could make a straight, it could make 2 pair. They're kind of just in there for fun. They're having a good time. When you want to be profitable, you want to come in with the best hands possible. That means you're looking for high pocket pairs, suited Broadway cards. You want all the like premium holdings when you enter, and that puts you as a statistical favorite when you enter the pot. When you are consistently entering as a statistical favorite, it doesn't mean you're going to win every time. But what it does mean is that you will win more often than you lose. By playing in this way, you're giving yourself an advantage right from the get-go by showing up into every hand either with a very strong hand and an advantage, or if you don't have a huge advantage, you're at least not at a huge disadvantage when you show up. So let's say you have ace-king and they have ace-queen. You're a huge favorite. But maybe you have ace-king and they have jacks. That's like a 50-50 spot. But you have a strong hand, so do they, but you're not entering spots where you say have like 25% equity and they have 75% equity. You're not giving them the advantage at any point. You're always going to be entering with strong competitive hands. That's how you want to play your weapons. Don't give away money. You want to protect your money. If you're not sure what hands to play, download an app like this one. I'm not associated with these guys in any way, but I do find these starting ranges helpful. Point number 3 in this plan is a strategic advantage. This comes into the betting really more than anything else. Let me give you a scenario. You have pocket 4s in the big blind. There's a player behind you who's opened, everyone else folds, and you decide to toss in the call to go to the flop. The flop comes down ace, queen, 4, giving you 3 of a kind. You check, your opponent bets. Now what are you going to do? A lot of players in a spot like this are going to slow play their hand, meaning that they're not going to put a raise in. Well, here's the potential danger in that. If you don't raise the hand right now, what can happen is you'll check again because you don't want to give your opponent information that your hand is strong by suddenly leading out. That'd be a very weird thing to do. But now if they don't actually love their hand, maybe they're just going to check back. Maybe they don't want to bloat this pot because their hand is fine, but it's not great. You get to the river and now you bet because they didn't put any money in on the turn. We got to get some money in there. And then they go, you know what? I don't want to call that bet. My hand is not that strong, and they fold. So you got one initial bet out of the person by slow playing. The mistake that most people make at the poker table is to slow play when they have it And when they don't have it, when they just have a medium hand, they tend to call too often. So you want to take advantage of this by being aggressive. Instead, let's consider this line. We check, our opponent bets, and now we check raise. We put more money into the pot. The mistake that most players are going to make is to call too often, so they make the call. We go to the turn, which doesn't change anything. We lead out. Now we're again putting our opponent in a spot where they are most likely to make a mistake by calling too light when they shouldn't. So maybe they call because they have a draw or they have a chance to improve. Who knows what the river's going to be? The river comes out, you bet again, and this time they fold. Well, yes, they did fold the river in both scenarios, but in the first scenario, you got one flop bet and the pre-flop raise. In the second scenario, you got the pre-flop bet, you got the check raise in, and you got a turn bet, all called. So you've made way more money by being aggressive than you have by being passive. When you get a big hand in poker, do not slow play your hand. Now you might be asking the question, Sean, why would I want to raise them on the flop? What if they just fold and they don't give me any more money? If that is the scenario, you're not in any worse of a position than if you try to be trappy and keep them in the hand. In this second scenario, you get their pre-flop bet, you get their continuation bet on the flop, but you now have the potential that they're going to call and pay you even more money when you check raise. So be aggressive, take the aggressive line, and look for that upside. When you have premium cards, they are very hard to come by. Do not remove your possibility to get paid by being trappy and passive and hoping you're going to trick them into putting all their chips in. Point number 4 is a timing advantage, and it's one of the most critical things you can learn at the poker table. The number one reason people are losing at the poker table is not that they are unskilled, it's that they're undisciplined. They're not patient. Now you need a great deal of patience to look down at two cards that look pretty. What I mean by that are cards that are suited, cards that are connected, especially if they're suited and connected, but they're the 3-4 of diamonds. There's going to be cards that you just need to let go. You can tell yourself when you're getting bored that it's been a long time since I've had a hand. I'm due. I've watched everybody else at the table win. It's my turn to win one. You can look down at those suited connected cards and think, these are pretty. These can make a flush. They can make a straight. They can make 2 pair. Any hand can make 2 pair. You start telling yourself all these things, and eventually what you're doing is you're giving away chips through most of the session that prevents your big wins from staying in your chip stack. Let me give you an example of this. Let me give you 2 different player types. We're going to give them the same assortment of hands, and we're going to talk about the different outcomes. So first, let's talk about Loose Larry. Loose in the poker community, if you're not familiar with that jargon, would mean that you just play too many hands. You're too loose with your money. You're playing too often. So Loose Larry plays all those hands. He looks down at 7-9 of diamonds and thinks, I got to get involved. I got to get into this pot. And he's playing probably every 3rd or 4th hand. The other player is going to be Tight Tom. Now I have a friend named Tom who is Tight Tom. Tight Tom plays only the best hands and he tries to play them in position. But he's playing only the best cards, and he's folding the rest of that junk. We're going to say that both players win a $200 pot with pocket aces within the first couple of hands. The difference we're going to see comes from what happens over the next hour. Tight Tom just folds. He doesn't get any really premium cards, and he just folds. He pays for his big blinds, he pays for his small blinds. Otherwise, he's just kind of folding and waiting and being patient for the next big hand to arrive. He buys into the game for $200. He makes $200 in profit. But over time, he starts giving chips back only through the blinds. And by the time he's done, he cashes out for $375, a win of $175 because he captured so much of that $200, only giving about $25 back by waiting for hands to show up and paying the blinds. Loose Larry, on the other hand, can't help himself. He's got to get in there. He's got to get involved. So he calls pre-flop. And maybe he hits a 7 with his 7-9 suited. And he thinks, well, I could hit 2 pair on the turn. I'm just going to call this continuation bet. He misses, the player continues, and he decides, you know what, I'm going to fold. I didn't win this one. That's okay. I'll move on to the next hand. Now, over the course of the night, he's going to have several hands like this. He's going to win probably 1 out of every 5 of them. But slowly the chips are bleeding out of his stack. And by the time Loose Larry goes to cash out, he has $175 of his initial $200 remaining because he gave so much money away splashing around and playing extra hands. So Tight Tom comes out with a profit of $175. Loose Larry cashes out with a loss of $25. Loose Larry will probably walk away from this game thinking, I had a good time. I only lost $25. It was like free entertainment, basically. He's not even aware that he has the potential to be profitable because he's getting involved all the time and giving all his money away. Let's go ahead and put everything together. So number 1, play as many hands as you can in position. That's really important. Number 2, Play with the best weapons possible. Make sure that when you get a hand, whether it's pre-flop or post-flop, if you have big cards, if you have a big made hand, put the money in the pot. Don't be afraid. Don't try to trap. Put the money into the pot. You still need to be rational. If you have 2 pair, but there's a straight and a flush on the board, then you need to do a reality check and say, is my hand actually any good? It's probably not. Okay, and finally, timing. Be patient. Learn to be patient. And not only should you learn to be patient, track your sessions. That's part of the patience, discipline, learning process. Record every session, whether it's a win or a loss, because that's going to give you information, data as to how you're actually doing. Now, when you put everything together, just a reminder, this is a base layer. These are the basic fundamental things that'll help you get to a win rate. If you're not currently winning, the goal is just to win any amount per hour. Maybe it's $1 or $2. That's fine. You're making a net positive gain by playing poker. Then what happens is you get better and better at this base layer, and you'll start to actually win a decent amount of money. Then you start adding skills on top of it. And when your skills start really improving and your hourly starts going up, you can then move up into higher stakes and play for larger amounts of money, which then again just explodes your win rate. So know that it's gonna start small, but that it builds over time, and you have the opportunity to get to a spot where you're making significant money playing poker. You can do this. This is your starting base layer. If you have questions, I'm sure you will, please leave them in the comment section below. I want to help you. I'm making this video for your benefit, and if there's something I've left out or something that doesn't make sense, please let me know. I hope it's a help to you. Please like and subscribe if you found it helpful, and I will see you in the next video.
Tyson, do that I survived doing 80 to the house, then I hit him to the sky, changed haters on a tirade, talking to the crib in the face, be still like that.